14 years ago, two little girls vanished on what was supposed to be a beautiful summer afternoon. They were only 8 and 9 years old. Emma Hartley and Lucy Brenner, cousins and best friends, holding hands and skipping down a trail near Rockwood Pines, their giggles echoing through the trees like wind chimes in the breeze. The picnic was meant to be a family gathering filled with laughter, watermelon slices, and blanket forts under the sun. It ended with police tape, helicopters, and a silence so loud it drowned every heart in that small town. They searched for days, weeks, months. Bloodhounds, helicopters, thermal drones, posters in gas stations, candlelight vigils. But the girls had simply disappeared. No footprints. No calls for ransom. No signs of a struggle. Just a pink hairband caught on a bush and an uneaten sandwich still resting on a log by the creek. Over time, the photos yellowed, the town moved on, and the story turned into a cautionary tale parents whispered to their children before letting them go too far into the woods. But stories like these don't always fade. Some truths have a pulse. And sometimes, when everything else forgets, a dog remembers. Before we journey deeper into this haunting, powerful, and ultimately redemptive story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Pawsitive Tales if you believe in the power of second chances, the loyalty of animals, or simply in kindness enduring through time. Your support helps bring stories like this to light. Max had once been more than just a dog. He was Officer Maximus, a canine who'd sniffed out drug busts, found lost children in the snow, and once even took a bullet for his partner, Officer Rachel Dawes. But now, at almost 13 years old, Max was retired, his once gleaming coat graying at the muzzle, his joints stiff from years of duty. He lived quietly with Rachel in a modest house near the edge of town, not far from the woods that had once swallowed two little girls whole. Rachel, too, bore scars not visible to the eye. After an accident during a late-night raid took out part of her knee, she was forced into early retirement. The job had been her identity, her salvation from a broken past, and when it was taken, she drifted. She spent her days volunteering at the local animal shelter, keeping Max company, and drinking too much tea at her window, staring at the trees like they owed her answers. Max still had his instincts. Every so often, he would perk up, bark at shadows near the treeline, or stare, frozen, at a particular grove just beyond the house. Rachel would shake her head and whisper, "It's over, buddy. You've done your part." But Max didn't seem to believe that. Not for a second. The town had changed, but some people hadn't. Claire Brenner, Lucy's mother, never moved. Her front porch still had the same wind chimes Emma once picked out. She kept her daughter's room the same, dusted weekly, with the calendar still stuck on July 2011. And Emma's mother, Caroline Hartley, now lived alone with a garden full of lilies, Emma's favorite flower. They had both become quiet fixtures in town, the mothers who never stopped waiting. Then came the fire. A group of teenagers had ignored warnings and lit a campfire during one of the driest weeks of summer. The flames tore through Rockwood Pines like a beast set loose. Rachel heard the alarms on her scanner, grabbed her volunteer badge, and loaded Max into the truck. He whined when they approached the smoke, low, anxious sounds that hadn't come from him in years. She chalked it up to the noise. The flashing lights. But when they reached the edge of the evacuation zone, Max leapt from the vehicle before she could stop him. It was the first time in years he had run. And not just run, he hunted. Nose to the ground, body low, darting between fire crews and fallen trees, like he was chasing the scent of time itself. Rachel, shouting his name, followed with a limp, nearly falling on the ash-covered rocks. Max didn't stop until he reached an old drainage tunnel, partially buried beneath soot, brush, and a fallen pine. He started digging, feverishly, obsessively. When Rachel finally caught up, she saw him barking at the mouth of the tunnel, his paws torn and bloody. Something about the way he howled made her freeze. And then she saw it, just a scrap of pink fabric. No bigger than her palm. Faded, scorched, and unmistakably childlike. She dropped to her knees. Authorities were called. The tunnel was cordoned off, excavated carefully over the next few days. Beneath layers of debris and sediment, they found two small skeletons, side by side, one of them still clutching a soggy, moldy teddy bear. But that wasn't all. Buried alongside them was a small, water-damaged notebook. And as investigators pieced together the fragile pages, the truth that surfaced shocked even the most seasoned officers. The journal had been written by Lucy. Childish handwriting. Spelling errors. Doodles in the margins. But what it revealed cut deeper than any mystery ever had. The girls had been running from someone they knew. Their uncle, David Hartley, Emma's own blood, had molested Lucy. And when she told her family, no one believed her. Not her mother. Not even Emma's parents. So they planned to run away and hide in the forest, Lucy wrote, until someone finally listens. They took snacks, the teddy bear, a flashlight, and the journal. They knew the tunnels from summer hikes. They thought it would be safe. Then the storm came. The tunnel flooded. They couldn't get out. The case was reopened. David Hartley, long viewed as a grieving uncle who had funded the search efforts and built a foundation in their name, was arrested. His home was searched, and in his safe, they found photos, video footage, and more journals, notes Lucy must have given him, now damning evidence. The town gasped. The betrayal had been living among them all along. And Max, old, tired, nearly forgotten, had done what no human could. He listened to something deeper. Something spiritual. Rachel stood at the press conference, tears running down her face. Not for the cameras. Not for closure. But for two girls who had waited so long to be heard. The memorial service was held a week later, under the very trees where they had once vanished. Two small caskets. Two names carved into white stone. And beside them, the town placed a bronze statue of Max, head raised, body crouched in attention, eyes fixed on eternity. Rachel stayed by Max's side every day after that. His health declined rapidly, as if that final act had taken the last of his strength. On a quiet autumn morning, she awoke to find him still, his head resting on her feet. His eyes closed. Peaceful. They buried him next to the girls, with a note from Rachel, "You never stopped listening. Now rest, sweet boy." Years later, people still visit the site. Children leave dog treats at the statue's feet. Families kneel to pray. The journal Lucy wrote, now preserved, is taught in schools as part of a unit on child safety and awareness. But most of all, people remember Max. Not just as a hero, but as a symbol of loyalty that transcends death, duty, and time itself. If this story touched your heart in any way, please don't scroll away. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Positive Tales so more people can hear stories that remind us of the bond between humans and animals, and the truths that deserve to be uncovered. Special request, in the comments, please write a message to Max. What would you say to this faithful hero if he were still here today?